All right, how's everybody doing today? We are live on air. Let me get these up here because I know I killed it today, man. I'm gonna bring plus money in early here. We had Larnaca. That was a big win right there. Larnaca over Partizan Belgrade. Um, and they scored. It wasn't too late. That was a big win, but we had some pretty big wins today. I had Fenerbahce -1.5. I thought they were kind of that Slovaco team saying Malmo won 3-0. Zurich isn't really covering against Linfield, Olympiacos, and Slovan. There and Scoopy's blowing it. But I liked Anderlecht today. But the games yesterday too. I think Bodo, Red Star, the two main plays, obviously clear of everyone else, and then Vélez Sarsfield with a big win 3-2. I didn't see the end of that Palmeiras game. I guess 90+2 they scored. Wow. Did you get a chance to watch any of those?
Yeah, I did watch a bit of the Palmeiras one. I didn't watch too much of it because when they went down 2-0, I kind of stopped watching it, and then they started to come back. And when they scored the first goal, I said, okay, if they tie it, then I'll watch again. But sure enough, they didn't tie it till basically the game was over.
It's interesting. I had Antwerp as one of my plays yesterday. Today. I mean, you go through these games here, and it's just there's so many. Basak Sahir is up, and Farivar was a huge favorite, but it's hard because AZ Alkmaar was a pretty big favorite on the road today, and they're 0-0. So some of these games are tough to call here, but I think Wednesday, I think we were both pretty high on Bodo and Red Star, and they both won 5-0, and those ties are basically unbettable now for the next leg. So you got to find a little bit of value there somewhere else. But I think the soccer, and this is all. I keep trying to tell the people that watch the free play videos. Look, man, we're doing I think I'm 14-1 the last 15 picks on the site, the premium plays and the free pick videos. And I'm telling them, I'm like, listen, man, these games aren't even my favorite. Now the Premier League comes, and now the French League comes. There's 150 games to choose from. We can find you one game every day. So if you like money, start following these soccer plays. And I think people are starting to figure it out now because getting some traction behind it. But I know I'm pretty excited. Obviously I'm going over to that game Sunday, so I'm excited for that. But I'm excited to watch that game tomorrow. I think the Palace and Arsenal is a good game to open up the league. But just to have the top level games back in the French league and the German league and stuff like that. Is that kind of how you feel about these games?
Oh, yeah, it's really nice. I mean, it's nice to have the league back. I don't know how I feel about betting it on the first week.
Yeah.
I do have some plays that I like, but again, it's all speculation based on, the moves these teams made in the transfer window, whether they didn't even do anything or not. And, basically, I'm excited to have it back, but I'd like to see them play a bit for sure.
Yeah, groovy caps right off the bat. Here's Arsenal going to win. So, all right, we'll talk about this because, I have flip-flop back and forth about this game. Arsenal, if this Vélez game thought they blew it and they won in injury time, yeah, that was crazy, Foxy. If they're going to play Thomas Partey and nothing's going to come of this stuff, I mean, is it morally right? Probably not. But if he's not going to get arrested for all these horrible things people say they did. If he's going to play, whatever. I don't know how much it's going to. I don't know how that thing is going to surround the team. I think sometimes stuff like that is tough at the beginning of a season. They got this Arsenal or nothing out now, which is like a circus around the team. Arsenal's always a circus to me. They're decent money here at minus 125, minus 127. Crystal Palace, if Michael Elise was healthy and they had, Elise and Edouard and Wilf Zaha and some of these guys up top, and they could push a guy back in the midfield, I probably would have taken them, and I probably would have taken Palace or draw. But, I don't know. I'm leaning towards Arsenal, I think, here. But to me, like, it's a tough call for me between Arsenal or the two outcomes, Palace and draw, because, they beat them 3-0, you see here, in April, but Conor Gallagher had a monster game that day, and he's back with Chelsea, so he's not going to be on the field. And he was one of their main guys. So it's a tough game for me. I would rather kind of look at some of these plays. I think Arsenal over 1.5 goals, minus 112 is probably a decent play. I think they're going to score some goals this year. I don't know how great Palace's defense is. And Palace's midfield. I'm not really sold on Palace's midfield. That was another reason I kind of backed off the game. I think goal scorer, if you take any of these guys, I said Oates and Edouard, if he starts, plus 320, he scores goals. I think he's a pretty good play. They got some players that can play a little bit, so could be interesting. They could give Arsenal a little bit of problems. I think it could be an over. But I do like Gabriel Jesus at plus 165 to score. I think he offers you pretty good value here. And I know, like you said, it's tough these first weeks. Do you try to find maybe some other ways to bet it instead of maybe just taking the money line or -1 and maybe saying like goal scores or something like this to find a little value?
Yeah, because it's tough to say when, like, I really like the moves Arsenal made in the offseason. I think Jesus is definitely gonna help their attack. That's something that we're always lacking, is that goal scorer, and now they have that. So it'll be interesting to see how they come out. But I definitely think in this game, I kind of like the over in this one. I know you mentioned the over 1.5 for Arsenal, but I kind of like the over 2.5 in the game.
Yes.
At minus 110, because it's pretty good money and it's basically a pick 'em. And Crystal Palace is going to score goals. They were pretty good at home last year, and they do have some good guys up top there for sure. So I definitely think that they can get some goals here at home. And then Arsenal, I already mentioned that I think their attack is going to be a lot better with Gabriel there, and I'm expecting them to score goals in this game. So I could see both teams scoring here. I could see this easily turning into like a 2-1, 3-1 type match. So yeah, I kind of like the over for sure.
Yeah, both teams' scores minus 120. And, I actually, I wouldn't mind taking a shot on over 1.5 goals on Crystal Palace at plus 265 as well. I mean, I'm not – everybody thinks – I know Foxy just said, Arsenal make top 4 this year, signed really well. I think there's a lot around this team. I don't know how good Arteta is. I just don't know about the team. I want to see him play here. If they go out and win 5-0 here against the team they should be beating, I'll be maybe a believer. But, they usually struggle in this game. You see what they did against Palace last year, 3-0, 2-2. But for the last, Crystal Palace has gotten points from Arsenal in 4 of the last 5 games they've played. Arsenal got 3-1 back in May of 21, but 1-1, 0-0, 2-2, and then the win last year. So Arsenal doesn't usually match up great against Crystal Palace, so there could be some goals. Palace starting 11 is pretty phenomenal. Midfield for Flair and Sheikh Doucouré is one of the signings of the season. Yeah, look, People are talking about Crystal Palace being down near the bottom. I don't see that at all. I think they're comfortably mid-table. I don't think they're getting into Europe, but with Edouard and Zaha, if his head's screwed on, and Elise. I mean, they have a lot of guys that can score with some flair. So I think they're going to be able to break down defenses and find goals in this. So I would probably stay away from the game, to be honest with you, because once again, I'm really stuck in the middle. But I think there's some money to be made in some of these other games. Now tomorrow, in Germany, there's the first game here is Eintracht Frankfurt against Bayern Munich. Frankfurt, the defending Europa League champions, and going to play Real Madrid next Wednesday, I believe. Have to go out and watch that in London, I think. Man, it's going to be tough making that plane at 8 a.m. on Thursday morning. I know that, but Eintracht Frankfurt against Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich minus 235 at home. I know Bayern Munich just won that game 5-3. They gave up 3 goals. Probably the over is the safest play in this game. Over 1.5 goals for Frankfurt is plus 190. Over 2.5 for Bayern Munich is plus 102. I think it's a pretty good. That's a really good game to kick off the season. There, 2 Champions League teams playing. Same thing. You kind of looking for different ways to bet that, maybe other than obviously probably not betting Bayern Munich at minus 235 here.
Yeah, well, again, Bayern Munich. I need to see how the moves they made are going to help out. Obviously, they picked up Mane. They should have. That's not going to replace Lewandowski, but still got to see how that attack's going to work. This is a team that had defensive issues all season last year. Already from that match against Leipzig, you're looking at them with defensive issues again, assuming they were trying in that one. It's hard to tell though, so you never know. But you know what I always say about the German teams: high scoring matches. The total here is 3.5, and I would still go over it, because I think Frankfurt can put up a bit of a fight here. If you actually look at the past history, they've given Bayern Munich a little bit of trouble, and most of the matches between these have had 4 or more goals in them. A lot of them are having a lot of goals. So I could definitely see this being over 3.5 for sure. Whether Bayern Munich gets it there by just blowing Frankfurt out, I don't think that's going to happen though. I think Frankfurt can actually keep this a little bit closer. They are the Europa champions, and they have looked pretty good in their recent friendly matches as they gear up for the start of the season. So I was even almost looking at maybe the plus 1.5 for Frankfurt, because I don't know if they're just going to get blown out by 2 goals, especially at home. You'd think they're going to get up first match of the season at home against the most dominant team in the league. Imagine you start your season off with a win here. That would be huge.
Yep. It's interesting too, because the over 3.5, and then in the first half, the over is, 1.5 is only minus 108, which to me, I mean, look, the Bundesliga and the Eredivisie are the 2 leagues I can always count on for there to be 800 goals every weekend. There's going to be goals. It might not be every single game that ends with 4 or 5 goals, but, 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 are going to be probably close to the over here. So I think, with these 2 teams and the way they play and the firepower, Bayern Munich just plays. They're just going to try to outscore everybody, which is fine. I mean, I'll see how, we're going to see how that works in the Champions League at some point when you got to kind of bear down against some of these teams. Well, it could work. I mean, maybe it'll work, but I do like the over 1.5 in the first half there. So those are the 2 main games tomorrow, I believe. Let me, because we'll look at the slate tonight. Lyon's playing. Did you see that? Benfica's playing Aruco. We could look at that too. But did you see the Eredivisie is off of ESPN? They have nobody to show them now in America. They got dropped by ESPN Plus.
I did not see that. Why is that? What is
I guess
going on there?
they couldn't come to an agreement. World Soccer Talk. Let's see. Fans left in limbo as games leave ESPN. I mean, it's today. They just wrote this story today. Like they were unable to renew its deal.
And that season starts tomorrow.
Yeah, like
what the hell?
I don't know. Like it's just
maybe a move to Paramount Plus, possibly.
Yeah, maybe, but it's tough. I mean, that is a pretty good league, and you think that Eredivisie just wants to be on over here somewhere. So I don't know how bad the deal. I don't know the inner workings of these deals, but like you think that they would just see what you could do here.
Hey, give CBS a shot. They love soccer, man. I have the CBS Sports Network, and they literally black out my morning show sometimes to show a few of those Tottenham versus the K-League All-Stars or the PSG one versus the K-League All-Stars. I was rattled. I was like, man, I love soccer, but I want to be watching PSG play the K-League All-Stars at 6 a.m. Like they're going to 6-0.
Paramount Plus has a decent. Paramount Plus now has the Champions League. They have the Conference League. They have Coppa Italia. They have the Argentine Premier Division. They have the Serie A. They have the Brasileiro. They have like all these, Scottish Premiership. So like, they're starting to get sucked up here by all these Paramount Plus now. When I first got it, I mean, it was for the Champions League, but there wasn't much else. Now, I mean, every weekend there's a whole slate of games. It's the same with ESPN Plus, and now Peacock's got every game. I mean, this weekend is ridiculous. Every Saturday game except for there's only 2 games in the whole weekend on USA. Everything's on Paramount or on Peacock. So they're pushing everything for that apparently.
Well, the Eredivisie could go to the cock too. You never know, but
yeah, that's right.
I don't know. CBS, man, I love Paramount Plus. I pay maybe $5-6 a month, and all I got to do is flip my VPN to the States, and I get everything. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah, exactly. So we got one more Copa Libertadores match today. Atletico PR against Estudiantes La Plata. PR's -127. I don't know if we got into that at all the other day. Obviously, I think I'm probably going to side with the Brazilian team here, but I'm not sure what you think here.
Yeah, so we crushed it on the Monday show with these Copa Libertadores. We had Flamengo and Velez, and both of them came through with big wins. I did mention it briefly at the end, but only because it totally slipped my mind that we could talk about this game on Thursday. I forgot it was late tonight. So yeah, I'm going with PR over 1.5 goals here. You can get that plus money, and I think they can score 2 goals at home here and take a comfortable lead into the second leg of this one.
Yeah, you get it at +105, +110 at some sites. So I think that's a pretty interesting play here. And then the Copa Sud games, I have no idea about Melgar and Internacional. Atletico Go and Nacional Montevideo, both pretty interesting. It looks like pretty even ties. I mean, you see to qualify, Internacional is -230 here, which means this +220 is if they're that much to qualify, you get them at +0.25 goals here at -112, which is interesting. And then obviously Atletico goes -375 to qualify, even though they're only +135 at home, which is interesting to me. Because I don't understand why they're -375 to qualify if they're only +135 at home. So I don't know which way you'd go with these.
Yeah, I don't even know. Atletico Go is not even a good team. They're in a relegation spot, I think, right now in Brazil.
And it's crazy. I don't understand why they're -375 in this. Like, if you're telling me Nacional Montevideo is +180 on the road here, then to me I would probably say I'm going to take Nacional to go through it plus 250 because, Atletico's not going to be favored on the road. So I might say, you know what? I'm going to take a chance on Nacional de Montevideo today at plus 250 to go through and I'm not going to bet a lot on it. I might bet $20, but, these odds are weird to me.
Yeah, that's definitely that makes zero sense because if you're minus 375 to go through, your best chance is at home. And if you're not even a minus favorite at home, you could come away with the draw here and then go lose it on the road easily. Now, Atletico Go seems to be one of those teams that they're obviously not paying attention to the league and paying attention to this competition because if you look at their results, they blow teams out in Sudamericana 3-0 at home, and then they go and get destroyed by a bad team like Cuiabá or something at home in the Brazilian league. So I would probably lean to Atletico Go in that match just because I think this is the competition they're focused on.
Yeah, these lines are pretty interesting, but this is obviously secondary competition, so the teams aren't going to be as good as these teams in Copa Libertadores. So you got to take that. You see already Sarsfield is plus 260 now, as Talleres is plus 110 for next week. Palmeiras minus 109 against Mineiro is interesting. But,
take it, hammer it now.
Yeah, Palmeiras, because that line's going to go up pretty quickly.
The fact that they even came back in that match says it all. And Atletico Mineiro, man, their attack's not good. If you watch the two goals, one goal was on a penalty kick, dumb play by the defenseman. I don't know why the hell you would even take him down in the box. Second one was off a Palmeiras defender's leg and in the net. If the Palmeiras defender isn't standing there at that exact moment, the ball goes clear across the box and probably out of bounds on the other side. So that's one where I thought the two goals put them in a hole. They came back late. They're going to go home now and probably win in advance, I would think.
Yeah, it's interesting that I have goals, right before and right after halftime. And Palmeiras had a goal struck out too with VAR. So, that if that goal counts, who knows, that game could go the other way. So, all right, so tomorrow night there's an MLS game. I don't know if did you look at the MLS slate at all this weekend, or you just?
I looked at everything, man. I looked at all the three big leagues, the MLS, the Brazil league. I even looked at all the small Switzerland, Belgium,
all right,
Austria, you name it.
Where you want to go first here with Saturday?
Well, for sure, we can talk about that MLS one. The only thing I'm going to say about it is, I guess, Vancouver team total over 1.5, because if you look at this Houston Dynamo team, they've lost 6 of their last 7 matches. Same with just their 6 of their last 7 away matches they've lost. And they've given up 2 goals in 6 of their last 7 matches alone. Not to mention they're coming off a 6-0 loss on the road. They're just awful team on the road. They do nothing but give up goals in games. I have no doubt that Vancouver scores 2 goals at home here. It should be a nice bounce back spot for them. They haven't been playing great lately, but they're not losing games either. So I think they can. And they lost the last 2 home MLS matches 3-1. So they got to have a bad taste in their mouth. They lost to Chicago. And I just want to point something out about Chicago. Chicago's been on a little streak now. And this just goes to show you how bad the way the MLS has their table set up really is with the playoffs. Because when you give teams 7 playoff spots like that, Chicago 2 weeks ago was the very last place team in the MLS with the least number of points. They have gone on a little bit. I think they've won 3 of their last 4 or something. All of a sudden, they're 2 points out of a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference now. Makes no sense.
Yeah, I'm not. It's ridiculous. They just let everybody in. If you're just going to do that, just let everybody in. It doesn't, Actually, it's interesting that you said that because we had somebody on yesterday, and we got Christian Campen on, so we'll talk about Liverpool losing tomorrow or Saturday thing. No, just kidding. Liverpool probably win. But
it'd be great if they lost.
Yeah, man, it'd be crazy. Chicago Fire here, at Charlotte, and Charlotte played midweek. And Chicago didn't. And the guy came on yesterday and said, book it, Chicago Fire here. And you can get, the Fire at plus 0.25 at minus 105 here, but the money line is plus 225. I don't know. Did you, is this one of the games you like?
It's tough to say because, Charlotte's a really good home team. I think they're fourth place in the MLS at home this year. After that win against DC, they're up to 8-0-3 at home this year.
Wow.
So, yeah, this is a very good team at home. I know they're on the short week, but Chicago, I don't know what happened to them in the last 2 weeks. All of a sudden, they've come out of nowhere, but a lot of their wins have been coming at home as well. They're not really a great road team. They did get the one huge win in Vancouver at 3-1. I don't know how they pulled that one off, but I don't know. I don't know if.
By the way, one game on Friday in the MLS and every other game on Saturday.
Yeah, nothing Sunday.
One game on Friday night, one game at 3 on Saturday, and then everything from 7 o'clock on afterwards. So 12 games from 7. Like, I kind of get it now because you got the Premier League, but to me, if they were smart, they would play at 3, 5, and like they would play right after the Premier League, so you could just switch over. I mean, they kind of are with 3, but like, just I don't even know. I don't know if you like that early game. Which of these games are you looking at?
Let's see here.
By the way, did you see the Red Bulls game the other night? My guy scored the last goal, Yaya Toure, Dantuma Toure. He was
they lost 5-4, right?
I gave him the player of the year. He played at Trenton High for 1 year. I gave him the player of the year, and everybody laughed at me. He scored like 30 goals his freshman year, and I was like, they're like, that kid's not going to. Meanwhile, like the next year, he was already with the Red Bulls. Kid's unbelievable. He actually had the ball in the net twice, but they called it back for a foul or some offsides or something. Like no one was even like he should have had 2 goals. But
Yaya Toure, didn't Man City have a player named Yaya Toure?
Yep. This guy, his Dantuma, Yaya Toure. So I guess he's named after him. He's not Yaya. He's not real big like him. He's just like a really quick defender really quick outside. Attacker with like really good feet. Kid was like he scored a goal the other day in the reserves or in the MLS Next Pro. He took like in the first couple minutes of the game, he's on the left, took like 2 touches inside and curled one into like the upper 90. I was like, man, this kid is unbelievable. And then he scored the other night. And his high school coach kicked him off the team his sophomore year. That's why I ended up going to play at Red Bulls. So they said he couldn't deal with him. But
wow.
He was too good. I guess he was like Ronaldo, like too good and demanding too much. But these other games, like the Union at plus 135 on the road at Cincinnati, LAFC at plus 140 on the road at Real Salt Lake, but Real Salt Lake is playing better here. I don't know if Ricky Puig just signed with the Galaxy. I don't know which game offers some value here.
And finally, Austin FC is a favorite in the game. That's a rare sight.
7, man, they're unbettable at this point.
Rare sight there, that's for sure.
And those 2 teams actually drew the last time they played 2-2. But San Jose, Austin's never beaten San Jose.
What's the over in that game?
3.5.
Oh yeah, of course.
So it's because of San Jose. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh yeah, they give up goals. They score goals.
Over 3 is like minus 130 on the Asian handicap. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to bet that because if the game ends at 3, you push. I mean, you need 4 goals to go over, and you're only getting it minus 130. So it's just not a lot of great value.
Yeah, that's definitely a tough one. I would almost lean to LAFC on the road to get them at a really nice price there, but it's again, that's one that's really tough to say with Real Salt Lake at home. But Salt Lake's let me down the last few times I've played them at home, so I'm gonna trust LAFC gets it done on the road here. I think they have some good pieces now. They're playing very well. I think they've won every game since. I know he's not starting, but ever since they acquired Bale and Chiellini and all the others, they've literally won every single game since then. So clearly, it's helping out. I guess their bench depth at least. They have better subs to bring on now later in the game, helps them out. So I think LAFC might be the way to play that one.
Foxy says we should be having multiple MLS games at 3 p.m. Saturday after the Premier League games, then a standout game at 5:30 and another at 8. Thank you. That's what we say. Well, I don't know. It would be smart, but like, to be honest, you know what? Like, next year, everything's on Apple Plus anyway, so it's like you could tune in, whatever. But like, yeah, I agree. Maybe I would watch it, but got to get some work done at some point. So Saturday Premier League slate here. You got Fulham, Liverpool, Bournemouth, Aston Villa, Leeds United, Wolves, Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, Tottenham, Southampton, and Everton, Chelsea. I like 3 of these games. 4 of these games. 2 of them I would never touch. I want to see what do you like any of these games at all here?
I don't love them, but yeah, I got a few plays. I was leaning towards Liverpool -1.5. I mean,
that's probably my favorite play of the day.
Yeah, I think that I think they probably get it done here. Fulham, newly promoted team.
I have Salah as a goal scorer at -120, -124. Darwin Nunez at +102. I think both of them can get on the score sheet. I like Villa a little bit at -103. I think they're going to be better this year. I think Bournemouth is probably the worst team in the league, if not the second worst. I think they're going to really, really struggle. I think Villa thinks they're going to be pretty good. We'll see about that. I don't know. The Leeds Wolves game, I would never, ever, ever bet that game. I think both teams stink.
Yeah.
And, how do you know which way? It's probably going to be 1-0. I mean, I just don't like those games. Last year, though, it was 3-2. But, you look at the last 2 before that, 1-1, 1-0, 1-0. So, how do you know which team's going to score? But I'll tell you this, Newcastle, everybody's high on Newcastle. But this Nottingham Forest team has signed a lot of players. And you can get Nottingham Forest at +130 on the double chance, Forest or draw. And I actually think I like that game right there because Newcastle's still trying to get some players in. They haven't really signed a lot of players here yet that'll be game changers. I think by the end of the window, they will. In the next 3 weeks, they're going to sign 2 or 3 more players, and they're going to be a much better team in September. But I just think right now this Forest team, Dean Henderson, even though United fans hate him, he's been good when he's gone to other teams and played in goal. They have Jesse Lingard who's going to help out. They got a lot of these players they brought in that are going to be interesting. So I don't know, if you had Foxy, don't listen to that, by the way. I know you're Newcastle, so don't be listening to that. Foxy says Liverpool will be 4+ this weekend. And Christian, yeah, we like Liverpool. But do you have any thoughts on that game, or just is this one of these games where you're like, man, I don't know about both teams? I think it's tough. I feel like that's my feel for the game, but I don't know. I could be 100% off on this game.
I kind of liked Newcastle just because last year they were a team that made me a lot of money betting them at home. You were getting them at some ridiculous prices, sometimes +150, +170, and they were cleaning house like 2-0, 3-0 there. Same with Crystal Palace near the end of the season. So
now you got to take them at -160 though, or plus -1 is +116. Which way do you go with that?
Yeah, see, that's why I said I kind of like him here because I don't like the line you're getting on him. But personally, against the newly promoted Forest, I know they've been signing a lot of players, but I don't know. I don't know how much those players are going to make an impact on this team. Nottingham Forest was a very good team in the championship, but they weren't like the best of the best last year for sure. So it's going to be that's like I said, it's a tough one to say with all these first games of the season, but I would lean to Newcastle in that one. I don't know if I would bet it, but that would be the way if you want to take the -1 and guarantee at least a push. The problem with the -1 is this could be a game where I think Newcastle maybe wins by exactly 1 goal.
Yes. Just quickly too, while we're on the subject here, teams to be relegated. Here's the futures: Bournemouth -200, Fulham and Nottingham Forest +130, Leeds +225, Brentford +250. Southampton +275, Everton +250. In the last 10 years, exactly half, 15 of 30 teams that have come up have stayed in the league. It was a little bit skewed one year, 16, 17, all 3 teams stayed up. I think it was Brighton, Huddersfield, and somebody else. So in theory, 1 or maybe 2 of the teams stay up. In practice, it could be all 3. But, I think it's interesting to see some of these odds for, I think Southampton stinks. I think they're going to be in trouble this year. I don't, Brentford, I know they overachieved last year, but I think they play the right way. They attack, so they get wins instead of draws, which I think stays up. Leeds, American Leeds, I don't know if they're good enough. I like that kid Aronson. And Everton was like such a mess last year. I don't know if you do futures or any of those kind of, I would say my pick would be Forest stays up. And I would go and look for some value. I would look for Southampton at +275 maybe to go down. I think when you start getting up to these teams, there's not really any value here. Like Leicester City's not even as bad as they are. They're not going to go down. But any thoughts on these?
Yeah, I would probably agree with Southampton for sure, but I might go with Fulham to stay in the league. It could be Fulham and Forest for all we know, because like you said, it's about a 50-50 chance. So
yep.
Could be one of the years where both those teams, but I don't know, man. Fulham was a scoring machine in the championship last year, and I think they'll get themselves out of a lot of trouble with just by scoring goals, because even if they're not going to win matches, I think they can come away with draws at least. And, that's a whole lot better than a team like Bournemouth who's probably just going to lose a ton of games.
I think, that's a thing. Like at some point, Fulham or Norwich City is going to stay up. Like they're yo-yo. They're back and forth. They switch. They're never in the same league because one's up, one's down. I think at some point, one of them is going to stay up. I mean, Fulham's got decent odds this year. They signed well, and we'll see. Can't get beat 7-0 tomorrow, but we'll see. But just now, quickly back to those games on Saturday. Tottenham, Southampton. This is my probably. I know I said Liverpool. I think Tottenham just absolutely annihilates Southampton here at home. They've signed really well. I think they're going to be a really good team under Antonio Conte. Tottenham -1.5 is plus money, +104. Tottenham over 2.5 goals here is +138. I think Southampton's going to be really bad, and I think this could get ugly. And Foxy says Wolves to go, no goal scorer, no signings. Forest definitely stays up. But this this game, Tottenham's on the end of a couple 9-0s in the last few years. This game could be really, really ugly.
Yeah, for sure. Tottenham is just. There was a point at home last year where they were just crushing everybody they played, like 3-0, 5-0. They were a very good home team at times. And the way I was looking about this was the Tottenham team total, maybe even over 2.5, because I think they're just going to score. The Southampton defense is not very good at all. They gave up a lot of goals last year. And I think this is one where they give up at least 2 goals, maybe 3 or 4.
Hey, good. How are you? Yeah. I think, a way that you could go here, Harry Kane to score in the game is minus 120. And he's also plus 460 to score 2 goals. Now, I'm not going to bet this all the time, but, this is a kind of game where, if I think Tottenham's going to score 3 or 4 goals here, it might be some value here. And Kane's going to try to, go for the golden boot. There's some good scores in this league. This might offer you a little bit of value to see him get plus 460 to get over 2 goals. I think he wants to get off on a good foot. So, literally. And, I think that offers you a little bit of value on here. And then the final game is Everton-Chelsea. I have no feel for this game. I know Chelsea's trying to sign some players. They haven't signed really anybody. They've they started to sign, but no one that's going to be involved in this game. Everton beat them 1-0 back in May. It was 1-1 back in December. Everton beat them. Everton's got points in 3 of the last 4 times these 2 teams have played. Everton can't be as bad as they were last year, although some people think they're the worst team in the league. I have no idea where to go with this game.
It's tough because, Everton had probably one of their best strikers, Richarlison, stripped away from them. So that's definitely going to not help them out anyway. And I think that, Chelsea, I don't like the moves they made because they're going to lose. They're going to lose they've already have lost some very good defensive players, but they're probably going to lose some more. I hear Azpilicueta is on the move too. So, I don't like the defense for Chelsea, but I think, they did all right trying to sign Raheem Sterling and help out their attack. I've noticed that over the years, when they hired Tuchel, they started as a very defensive team. There was a time where I was making so much money on the under because the books weren't catching on that defense was their staple. He revamped that defense. And now over the years, the defense has been slipping. It was slipping near the end of last season. Obviously, the players have left now. And I think just in general, they've kind of shifted because they weren't scoring goals. That was always an issue for them. And I think they kind of shifted their focus on attack this year. So this might be one where there's goals. I don't like Everton's defense. I think Chelsea could probably score, but I don't know if Chelsea is going to keep Everton out of the net here on the road with the current defense they have. So I would lean to the over in that one, but I don't even know what the line is for that.
So you're going to get it at over 2.5 is 105. Decent odds. I have no. I'll be out somewhere watching it in town in Manchester, and I'll just sit there watching it. Probably be some Everton fans there, but I wouldn't be stunned if Chelsea won 4-0. I wouldn't be stunned if Everton won 2-0. I just have no feel for this game whatsoever. And it for me, it's like that with the Premier League. A lot of times with these weeks, I'll look at a game that others might not like, and I'll say, listen, I like this. And, I'll look at, and somebody might like a game, and I'll say, look, I don't like it. I just don't know. I have no feel for it. So, I try to handicap every game in the league, but when you're handicapping, you're going through and you're like no feel, and just kind of skip over it. Once again, it's the first week, so sometimes you got to take a little bit of a slow walk back into it. Foxy's asking about the Mexican games tonight. Did you look at any of those?
You know what? I decided I wasn't really going to look at Mexico because I've been doing well in the Brazilian leagues, in the Brazilian league with my premium plays and my free plays lately. So I figured I'll just stick to that. And with all these other leagues coming back now, there's not a lot of time to be looking at the Mexican league when there's personally I like some of the other leagues better.
Yeah, I think Foxy Atlas there minus 120, minus 124 is probably the play because Katera's just okay. Um, so, but yeah, if you can get the champions at that kind of low price, I think you kind of got to go with it. See the table here. So you've been looking at the you were looking at the game Saturday in Brazil?
Yeah, but honestly, there's nothing really I like in Brazil this weekend because of the Copa Libertadores second legs. The only thing I will say, there was one that I was looking at, and I think it was Atletico PR at plus 800 against Atletico Mineiro, because I have no faith that Atletico Mineiro is going to be focused on this game whatsoever.
Yeah.
Or wait, is that not the line? Oh, it was plus 500? Okay.
500. Yeah.
I must have misread it earlier. I knew it was a higher number, but yeah.
Still pretty good value, though.
Yeah, I think because, Atletico PR is a very good team. I think they could actually be one of maybe the top four in Brazil by the end of the year. I think they're on a very good roll right now. And we've seen that they'll still play between these Copa Libertadores when they beat Palmeiras 2-0 in between those ones. Palmeiras is another one. I was almost looking at the Goiás plus 1.5 just because I have no faith that Palmeiras is going to be trying in this match with a huge home match coming up midweek against Atletico Mineiro when the score is only 2-2 on aggregate. But I wouldn't dare to touch Goiás on the road in Palmeiras at all. I do think
Foxy likes Bragantino because Atletico Go have the second leg on Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. Bragantino's been playing very well lately. I think they played Fluminense in their last match. No, who did they play? They played Juventude in their last match. They looked really good. Even in the Fluminense, I think that was their only loss in their last 4 or 5. They've won 4 of their last 5, I believe. But that loss in Fluminense, man, like they once they scored that goal, even before that, they turned it on in the last 30 minutes. Fluminense sat on their defense, and they could have easily tied that one up. I was getting a little nervous because I was on Fluminense in that one. But yeah, Bragantino, they've been averaging like over 2 goals a game in their last 5, winning 4 of those. And they've just been on a big roll right now. I totally agree. And we mentioned it earlier that Atletico Go, I thought, was one of those teams that they're just not paying attention to the league at all right now because they're in a relegation spot and they're doing pretty well in Sudamericana. So normally when I see that, I figure, they don't care if they get relegated, if they can come away with the Sudamericana title.
Bill says, don't bet United. Bill, I'll be at that game Sunday, so I will. I'm going to say this about Manchester United. It's the same thing I'll say about Chelsea and Newcastle. Austin FC plays on Saturday, and they're minus 167. They've caught on, Bill. Those 3 teams will probably look much different in 3 weeks when the window closes September 2nd than they do right now, or 4 weeks. Manchester United, Martial's hurt. So now, this guy Sesko might come in, they're going to get some midfielder somewhere. They're probably going to get a right back as well. So, if United gets a right back, Sesko and a midfielder, I think, they're in better shape. If Chelsea signs, De Jong, United signs De Jong, if Barcelona can't sign everybody. Apparently they can, but they brought everybody in. They haven't been able to register anybody, so that's the thing. And I think Newcastle will sign some players as well. So I think kind of like he says here, like you got to wait a little bit. Just make sure you don't leave at halftime, like Cristiano. Yeah, what a mess, man. He might have to play tomorrow or Sunday too, which is brutal. I think, sometimes the first games, some of these teams have done a lot of good business and like they're not going to be like Manchester City might sign a left back. They might sign nobody that's going to make their team like infinitely that much better. But those other teams, Chelsea, United, Newcastle might, and they might be able to jump ahead of, an Arsenal or somebody like that. But for right now, it's tough to take them. I just don't know how good Brighton's going to be because they lost, so many players. So, but they also signed some players. So Austin FC plays Saturday night against I forget who they play. San Jose as minus 167, and this San Jose team can score a little bit, so that game's making me a little bit nervous, to be honest. Probably the over. So any other games you want to kind of touch on here?
You
look at anything in France?
Yeah, I was going to say we didn't really touch the French league.
There's some tough games here.
They're all bad. The only thing I could really find was maybe PSG team total over 2.5, but even then, I think it's at like even money.
It's minus 134. Man,
wow!
It was 6-1 last time and 4-0 the first time. So, to be honest, I mean, maybe you take a shot at 3.5 at plus 200, but it's the first game, so I just don't know. They rolled last week 4-0. I don't think Mbappe didn't even play. Let me see if he's listed as a goal scorer here. He is at minus 215. Like, you can't even bet that. Neymar's minus 107. I'll tell you what, this team is loaded. Minus 215. Neymar, Ikatike is good. Messi's the 6th choice to score, which is crazy. They got some pretty, Wijnaldum's going to go. They're a pretty good team, and they're going to sign a little bit too. So, yeah, I think, for me, maybe minus 1.75 is minus 125. It's still pretty high. I don't know. I don't really love the other games. I mean, Marseille was a pretty good team last year, but, I'm not taking them first week at minus 182 at minus 1. Rennes is a heavy favorite against Lorient. Once again, I don't know. These games are tough. Monaco just played. They're playing Strasbourg, who was actually pretty good last year. So, they're pretty tough to call those.
Oh, did you watch the Monaco PSV match?
No.
There was a point late in that game where I think it was when Monaco was still down, but Monaco had a huge attack. There was so much open space. It was like an odd rush. It was like a 4-on-2 or something, a 3-on-2 coming down the field. And the ref blew it dead because seconds before, right before Monaco went on that attack, their first attempt to get the ball up there hit the ref right in the nuts. And then the second, they kind of got the rebound off that.
Yeah.
Was able to through ball it to this open. They had such a good attack. They were probably going to score on that attack, man. And the ref just blew it dead because the guy couldn't breathe.
Oh, man.
It was rough. I felt bad for Monaco. I was like, oh man, let your linesman take it from there. Come on, you gotta let that keep going. You can't blow that dead.
That's crazy. Foxy says, watch out for Nice this year.
They were good last year. They're a great home team too.
Yeah, that's right. David, do you want to come on TV, or are you going to stop crying? You want to see TV? Okay. There he stopped crying. He wanted to talk about TV, and he comes on. All right, so basically that's it for today. I'm not sure what the show will be tomorrow, if it's going to be early or if there's going to be any show, because I got to be at the airport. So, and next week I'm going to be in London, so we'll see. Just check on my Twitter. But we might the next show might be Thursday next week. So just check on my Twitter and we'll kind of see that. But so happy opening weekend here of the Premier League and some of these other leagues. And we will see you next week.